everybody. Welcome. Welcome to Optimus Fantasy Football. It's week 8 of NFL action. We just wrapped up a riveting-ish Sunday night football game between the Green Bay Packers and the Pittsburgh Bumblebees. I don't know what the hell those uniforms were.
They were that was when they were the Pittsburgh Pirates back in the day. For you slightly confused people, because they call them the Pittsburgh Pirates. I know people wanted to be like, no, that's not right. That they were the Pittsburgh Pirates at that time. So the uniforms that make sense, I guess, in that aspect. But
yeah,
they're not as bad as the ones that have like the big stripes. They're still bad.
Well, those look like prison uniforms that have yellowed over the years. These ones were just look. Okay, so if you could picture Deltron 3030 universe with football teams, that's what their uniforms look like.
I don't know what that is, but sure.
Oh, Kevin, it's all right. All right, guys.
Andrew McCutcheon ain't walking through that door anytime soon. He ain't coming out the Renegade.
He's still in the league, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still a Pirate. Well, after like a tour of duty with a few other teams, he's back in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I don't follow baseball as much as I should. Yeah, shout out Andrew McCutcheon for sure. Yeah. Kutch. I remember when he moved to the Mets, and I was sad because I don't like the Mets. Well, I don't like the Yankees either, but we won't talk about that on this show.
Yeah, it's a football.
It's a football show.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about football, folks. So we're going to get right into the action here. Week 8 is almost past us, thank God. 6 teams on bye this week. It was not fun setting some of those lineups. We had Detroit, Vegas, Los Angeles, Arizona, Seattle, and Jacksonville all taking the week off like a bunch of lazy bums. The teams that did play this week, we're going to start off with the New York Jets and the Cincinnati Bengals. An unexpectedly exciting game, Kevin. This one wraps with the New York Jets getting their first win of the season. I mean, mostly they end it with a Breece Hall touchdown pass to Mason Taylor in the end zone. So this one ends. An interesting game. There's some reports out of Cincinnati that Joe Flacco may have suffered a shoulder injury. Haven't seen anything super solid on that, but he's old. To be expected. It's probably just some icy hot and he'll be fine. But otherwise, this game, Kevin, the Jets win it. Justin Fields looks serviceable. What were your big takeaways from this one?
I mean, the Jets are the Jets in terms of like, even in a game where they ended up scoring 39 points, you weren't really starting anybody outside of Breece Hall. It was the RB4 on the day. Still a strong role, but Isaiah Davis is very much involved in the game. 7 carries for 65 yards, 5 receptions for 44. Still, it's not like you were starting him. That's just stuff that takes off the top of Breece Hall. So when you do see that, you're like thinking, well, Breece Hall did have 133 yards and 2 touchdowns. Obviously had the passing one, but the day could have been better. But any of these wide receivers, like you're not starting any of these guys. You're not starting the ghost of Allen Lazard or the corpse of Tyler Johnson. Maybe Mason Taylor. Many are saying it was the Vipocalypse this week. I have heard that once or twice on some sort of airwaves, but Mason Taylor led the team in targets, 9 targets, 5 for 34 and a touchdown, a nice 69 air yards. I mean, that would be the only guy you would start realistically in a bye scenario, because you did have some tight ends on bye, Trey McBride, obviously, and then amongst some other guys. But yeah, this just he was ugly. Even Justin Fields had a pretty good game, but not like a fantasy game. Like I think he was like QB 12 going into Monday Night Football. QB 11, 20.8 points. Like fine, but not like a Justin Fields ceiling game by any means. But we'll see what happens if Tyrod Taylor comes back, whether they're going to actually do that. They had to start Justin Fields just out of circumstance. But don't let it fool you. Don't get it twisted. The Jets are still hashtag very bad.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're playing a bad Bengals team. With a bad defense, a good enough offense to score 30.
Yeah, but points. a good bad Bengals team. There's good, bad, and then there's bad.
That's a fair point.
We talked about this last week. The good, bad, the bad, good.
This is a good bad team, but they weren't good enough to beat New York. And like you said, like I said, Justin Fields was serviceable. He wasn't great. QB 11's fine. He probably finishes the week right. QB 11. I can't see him finishing any lower at this point now. Breece Hall, 18 carries for 133 and 2 touchdowns. I mean, thank God we saw him get going. I think this is something that we see this offense do moving forward. Now, like you said, the receivers aren't worth talking about. Thank God Mason Taylor did something today. I know we talked him up. At least some of us did this week. Let's move on to the Bengals side of this one. I mean, Joe Flacco, 21-34, 223 yards and 2 touchdowns. Similar numbers to Justin Fields. Chase Brown gets in the end zone. Samaj P. Ryan also gets in the end zone. T. Higgins gets in the end zone. And of course, Chase Brown gets in the end zone with a receiving touchdown. We saw Tanner Hudson get some work. But I think the takeaway from this is Joe Flacco is going to target his studs as long as he is the starting quarterback.
Yeah, Joe Flacco knows the assignment is to get the ball to Chase and Higgins. And I think a byproduct of that not a lot of people are talking about, and we've seen 2 weeks of it now, is that Joe Flacco having a defense that actually has to respect the passing game is opening stuff up in the run game now. So that's great for obviously Chase Brown. And then we saw Samaj P. Ryan as well, 9 for 94 and a touchdown. Like, you're not starting P. Ryan, and this goes along with the thing we're talking about with Breece Hall. Anything that you take off of Chase Brown, you might get some efficiency bump because you're not as much wear and tear, but you do want to see a little bit more, in a game where, they're coming back. The team's coming back on them. Only 12 carries for Chase Brown, still 73 yards and a touchdown, and then a receiving touchdown on top of that. You're still obviously stoked if you started Chase Brown. And then what more is there to say when you have a 57.6% target share, like Jamar Chase had? 19 targets, 12 for 91. T. Higgins' only catch was a 44-yard touchdown. Like, that's fine. You'll take that touchdown was 11.4 fantasy points. That's like perfectly fine. If you're gonna have one catch, it better be a touchdown. So perfectly fine for the Bengals. The targets are going to go to those top 2 receivers, and maybe a trickle down effect for guys like Chase Brown. Noah Fant, we were wondering if he was going to get a bit more routes, like still 42% routes, not worth even streaming at this point, because he is still splitting like that receiving role with Tanner Hudson. So that's not anywhere you need to be, on buys. But yeah, top 2 guys, Chase Brown, start Joe Flacco. I played Joe Flacco with Chase and Higgins in DFS today. That was pretty fun. I was hoping for more from Flacco because, he ended up with like 223 yards, had the 2 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. Like, great. But you were hoping 38 points. That's a very low on the range of outcomes. If you thought for like how you thought this game was going to go in terms of distribution of targets. Like, I don't think a lot of people would be like, oh, it was the run game. It was 3 different rushers scoring a touchdown. You didn't really see that coming.
Well, I mean, nobody saw Flacco scoring a touchdown.
That was great. I couldn't believe when I saw that. I had to go back and like make sure that was like correct.
Well, it's like reminded of the Peyton Manning whole bootleg rushing touchdown in Denver.
Oh, I remember that. The one where nobody went with him and he went out. Yeah, I remember that.
Well, yeah, of course nobody thinks Peyton Manning's going to bootleg it into the end zone. Come on. That's how they get you. All right, enough of this game, Kevin. Let's move on to the next one on the slate. We're going to go over to the Baltimore Ravens, who, I mean, let's be honest here, they put the absolute hurt on the Chicago Bears. They win this game 30-16. I don't think anyone really saw this coming, and we're going to start on the Baltimore side. Tyler Huntley, he goes 17-22 for 186 and a touchdown. On the ground, he adds 8 carries for 53 yards. He looked really good today. It makes you wonder, why have they ever strayed from him as a backup? With Lamar Jackson, it just makes sense. He's a scheme fit. Cooper Rush was never going to work. He got them a win. They're now 2-5, which is better than 1-5, and we expected them to be 1-6 this week. Baltimore looked better than expected all around, Kevin.
I mean, sure. In like the real football sense, like Tyler, I mean, the Bears really shot themselves in the foot today. That helped the Ravens, kind of get out ahead there. Huntley's just a guy. Like every one of these quarterbacks that are, decent enough backup quarterbacks, they all have the flash in the pan game. In terms of like distribution, like Zay Flowers, 9 targets, led the team. Nobody else had over 3. 7 for 63, 91 air yards, ran the most routes. Outside of that, like Mark Andrews, it's very hard to start him. Not even running 60% of routes, 3 for 34 on 3 targets. Other than that, you're obviously Charlie Kolar ended up getting the touchdown there, which obviously nobody started him, not even Charlie Kolar's family. And then Derrick Henry, 21 for 71 and 2 touchdowns. Big dog gets there twice. That's cool. You were hoping kind of this could be the launching pad. You were hoping this was going to be Lamar Jackson coming back, and we're all singing Kumbaya and everybody's happy, but was not meant to be. This offense just revolves around Zay Flowers in the passing game, and they're kind of Bills like in the way that they spread out routes very much between all these guys. You look at the Rashad Batemans and Hopkins and Mark Andrews as they likely, but all these guys are like really bottom of the barrel starts, like especially Mark Andrews, especially Rashad Bateman. Zay Flowers is the only like pass catcher that you can start with any kind of certainty. And then obviously Derrick Henry. But until Lamar gets back, he's not, Tyler Huntley's not going to be able to lift boats in this offense. Like one boat is Zay Flowers, and that's like it. But hopefully we get Lamar Jackson next week, and all is well in the world.
Well, and I think he was running scout team this week. He'll be back next week. This offense needs him back, but they beat Chicago. Zay Flowers, 7 catches. You love to see it. There were a lot of people who were on the fence from people I talked to on Reddit today about starting Zay Flowers. I felt pretty good about it. The last time Huntley started, Zay Flowers feasted. So we need Lamar Jackson back, though. And
he's the only one that runs routes. That's the thing. And then he's the most athletic. He's the most dynamic. So he would be like the only reasonable start you can make in that whole team. Like if you look at that team, that was the thesis behind Zay Flowers, is that even with Lamar, who else could it be? Because we've not seen target earning from Rashad Bateman ever. Nope. DeAndre Hopkins is 1 billion years old. Mark Andrews is like, almost a statue at this point. Isaiah likely hasn't really grabbed, any, market share in terms of targets. Like who else was it going to be? Like
Zay Flowers.
Exactly.
I loved him coming out of Boston College. With this comment on YouTube, Kevin, we're going to move to the Chicago side of this game. Joe Hammy over on YouTube, watching Caleb makes me think I need to find a new quarterback rest of season in one of my leagues. So we'll start there. Caleb Williams goes 25 of 38, 285 yards, doesn't throw a touchdown, throws an interception, adds 3 carries for 24 yards.
He's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Caleb is a work in progress. This offense, because of, they ended up changing out their left tackle, but they've been very much run heavy. Not so much here because they were kind of game scripted into having to throw a little bit, and we saw some of that manifest with, Rome Odunze obviously having 7 for 114, team high 10 targets. DJ Moore had a good game too. Olamide Zaccheaus for some reason got 7 targets for reasons unbeknownst to me. No Cole Kmet also. no Cole Kmet, but Colson Loveland ended up getting 78% of the routes and 81% of the snaps. Totally fine. When that dropped about Cole Kmet, I was a little worried about Durham Smythe being able to kind of work his way in and take some routes from him, but that actually did not end up as the case. So that's perfectly fine. And then DeAndre Swift, 11 for 45 and a touchdown, 2 for 26, like totally fine. I think we all overreacted a little bit to the Kyle Monangai stuff in terms of can he be like the Zach Charbonnet to DeAndre Swift's Kenneth Walker, or however you feel about that backfield, that kind of workload split. I don't think that's the case, even though they were very close on like snap and route percentages, like within a few percentage points from each other, like the same kind of split.
Yep.
It's going to be Swift getting a lot of that work. Monangai's like a desperation flex. He still should be rostered. because I think he has a ton of contingent value, but I'm not worried about Monangai when both are healthy taking that market share.
Yeah, I'm not either. Monangai was exciting last week because it was junk time. We talked about it earlier in the week. That's plain and simple. DeAndre Swift is the guy in this offense, but I like having Monangai rostered because he could get some sort of foothold. He had 7 carries. He didn't see a target in the passing game. Colston Loveland, though, I want to ask you about this. Kevin, did you expect more from him with Cole Kmet out today?
Not really, because he's not been a focal point in the offense. The offense has been pretty trending toward the run anyway. So I know some people, if they had him, they maybe started him, or he's really a backup tight end. But yeah, I didn't really expect too much. The fact that we're still waiting on Luther Burden probably trickles down to him a little bit. Sure. I think Loveland's still being kind of worked into the offense, and it's going to be like the 2-man game of Moore and Adunze and then Swift in the run game. I don't think there's a lot of room in this offense the way Caleb Williams is going. That there's going to be room for Loveland.
Sure, and that makes sense to me. Now we're going to move on to our next game, which is a head scratcher. But before we go there, I want to tell you all about our awesome tools, tools.optimusfantasy.com. Right now, if you use the code OptimusFall, you can get 25% off your first 4 months. We just added insane projections to all of our tools that are going to help guide your way, built by the one and only Lou Brunson. Guys, these are factoring in everything: weather, injuries. They called Tyler Johnson, seeing a bunch of volume today in New York. How much better can they possibly get, guys? Make sure you head over to tools.optimusfantasy.com. 25% off your first 4 months with the code OptimusFall. And now we're going to get to a team that fell, Kevin. The Atlanta Falcons could not lose. Survivor pool darling today falls to the Miami Dolphins 34-10. I was stunned. Could not believe it. Tua, we'll start on the Miami side here. 4 touchdowns, goes 20-26 for 205 yards. That's got to be the big story here. Plus Jalen Waddle, 5 catches for 99 and a touchdown. Someone we had all put to bed for the most part after Tua's comments last week where he said he couldn't see Jalen Waddle because he's too short.
Yeah, the Falcons are a weird team. They're, they obviously had one of the best defenses going into this week, but look, Drake London was, obviously in the morning we were hoping that he would get on the field. He had popped up with a hip injury and then he was out. We were all hoping for some Darnell Mooney stuff. The offense is pretty banged up right now. And then the Dolphins just came out firing. And that it was great for Tua. 4 touchdowns, 1 to Waddle, 1 to Malik Washington, H.J. and Ollie Gordon. Jalen Waddle carries the volume, 5 for 99, a touchdown. Malik Washington got in the end zone on a little end zone fade. HN 5 for 24 and a touchdown. Awesome. Added 18 for 67. It was really like a team win where the defense really carried them. And Bijan was just completely, we'll talk about that, but they rendered the run game completely ineffective. And obviously it was Kirk Cousins, not Michael Penix. So that makes it a little bit easier to kind of tee off on a statue there. So that definitely helped for the Miami Dolphins to kind of maybe delay the Mike McDaniel hot seat stuff for like another week. They're still 2-6. Like it's not the greatest situation still in Miami, but it probably, loosens the foot off of the pedal a little bit more. So not bad for Miami. They're still pretty condensed in terms of like your usual suspects. And the tight end stuff, because I was hoping, or I wanted to see if Greg Dulcich would work in a little bit more. Obviously, Julian Hill was out as well for the Dolphins. So Tanner Connor ended up playing the Julian Hill role, which was basically his blocker, and Greg Dulcich kind of worked into the Tanner Connor, who typically plays in the slot with Darren Waller also out. He's also out for another 3 weeks. He's on IR. Dulcich ran more routes, but not meaningfully to be any kind of fantasy factor. Didn't earn a target. So that's basically all I have on the Dolphins. Like, it was just a defensive game, and there was enough scoring to kind of buoy it.
Do you take anything from Ollie Gordon getting 10 carries?
There's, a lot of that was late too. So not really anything to worry about. I mean, I do want to see them in a neutral script work Ollie Gordon in a little bit more, or Jalen Wright. Jalen Wright had 9 carries as well.
Yeah.
But a lot of that was, Miami was so far out in front and they're salting away this game. Zach Wilson ended up getting in there too. So, I don't glean a lot from that particularly. They did end up pulling a lot of their starters. They got Cedric Wilson in there and Nick Westbrook-Ikine and D. Eskridge. So, that's the nature of the beast when you have a big disparity like that. When you win 30, it was 34-3 for a while, and then Atlanta scored a garbage touchdown. But
yeah, this game was ugly. We'll talk about the even uglier part here. The Atlanta side, Kirk Cousins starting, obviously, as we already talked about a little bit. He goes 21-31 for 173. He's sacked once. But the real story here is this. This is a Miami defense that cannot stop the run. We've watched other lesser running backs go absolutely ham on this defense. So, naturally, we thought it was going to be a Bijan Robinson day. I mean, no one would fault you for that. 9 carries for 25 yards. Does not score a touchdown today.
Yeah, the DFS chalk of all chalk, Bijan Robinson. Look, I think it was really more of the game kind of getting away from the Falcons more than like Atlanta wanting to run the ball and it just not working. So I'm not super concerned about that by any means. Like, Bijan is still like an awesome running back, and he's going to have his days. Just, it was a number of like bad circumstantial stuff with obviously Kirk Cousins in for Penix, no Drake London. So why would you have to respect the pass? Kyle Pitts ended up leading the team 9 for 59 on a team high 9 targets, 100% of the routes. Awesome. David Sills ran 100% of the routes. That should tell you where we are with this Falcons team. Former New York Giant, former Denver Bronco, David Sills the 5th, 100% routes. Didn't think I'd be saying that. So that's where we are in America. Yeah, exactly, Lou. I'm sorry, who?
Yeah.
But yeah, Tyler Algier got that garbage touchdown at the end. And as they get game scripted out, Tyler Algier is not a factor anyway, I guess. It's just one of those days. And I don't think the Falcons are like a good team. I think they're a good bad. I think they're a good bad team. Maybe not bad team, okay team. Like, I think they're going to be like competitive enough and like somewhat feisty. I don't think they're a playoff team.
Well, they're in a shitty division, Kevin.
Fair.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, speaking of their division, we're going to move on to a game involving a team in their division. The Buffalo Bills and the Carolina Panthers played today. It was one of the games of this week, as we like to say here. Buffalo wins this win ultimately 40-9 over Carolina. Not a surprising outcome. We'll start on the Buffalo side of this one. Josh Allen with a pedestrian 12 of 19 for 163 yards and a touchdown. He adds 3 carries for 7 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. It was obvious that Buffalo knew they didn't have to do a whole lot to win this game.
Don't bury the lead any longer.
James Cook, 19 carries for 216 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. And of course, he didn't get a single target, which is pretty strange, but they didn't need to. It was fine. Yeah. James Cook had a day. He had a James Cook day. He had the James Cook day.
Yeah, like James Cook, this was my like favorite start of the entire week because the Bills are going to be coming off of this bye and they were going to be coming out firing, and the Bills are reset. And look, Carolina, I guess, can be fine, but they're not fine with Andy Dalton. And so there's nothing to respect there. This was the Bills getting Joe Brady in particular, the offensive coordinator, getting back into what the Bills wanted to do. This looks like last year's Bills with the fact that, yeah, they spread out their targets, but Khalil Shakir was an absolute yak monster today. Had the most yak of any pass catcher outside. Well, yeah, 93 yards after the catch. It was Shakir with 93, Jamar Chase with 81, and then everybody else was 55 or below. But it was Khalil Shakir doing what Khalil Shakir does best, and then James Cook and that offensive line absolutely dominating. 216 yards, 2 touchdowns. James Cook's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
It is a 2-man game, and I'm not, for fantasy purposes, I'm not worried about Keon Coleman. I'm not giving them, any sort of, especially for fantasy purposes. I'm not giving them any consideration. Shakir is like the only pass catcher you need to worry about. James Cook is like the only running back you need to worry about, obviously. And then Josh Allen's awesome.
Yeah, that's all you can take away from this game. 40-9. We're going to go to the Carolina side. We'll be real brief with this one. Andy Dalton starts at quarterback, goes 16-24 for 175, throws an interception. On the rushing side of it, Rico Dowdle, 8 carries for 54. Chuba Hubbard, 12 for 34. He gets the rushing touchdown. Otherwise, Ted McMillan saw his volume. He had 10 targets, 7 catches for 99 yards, led the team in targets. No one else was even remotely close. Jalen Coker season is apparently not going to be a thing. He had 4 targets, 3 catches for 36 yards. This is the Carolina offense. Here we are.
Like Jalen Coker's in a better spot than Xavier Legette. Xavier Legette's running the routes, but trust me, that 9 for 92 and a touchdown was an absolute aberration. I didn't want anybody to think anything but, and that he proved it himself. 94% of the routes, just 3 targets, 2 for 17. Ted McMillan is a stud. And then look, they rotated their backs every other series. So Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle. Chuba Hubbard ended up getting a touchdown. But at some point you gotta be like, okay, Rico Dowdle has been way more efficient in the split the last 2 weeks. Maybe we start giving him 2 series to Chuba's 1, and then kind of figuring out from there, because they're actively like hamstringing themselves with this run game. They're not putting like they're the split, because Chuba Hubbard 56% of the routes, 57% of the snaps, to Dowdle's 35% of routes and 36% of the snaps. Like, we are obviously seeing Chuba here, and it shouldn't be him. 12 for 34, obviously less than 3 yards per carry there. So, and I know it was a bad game, and it is what it is, but at some point, Canales has to kind of see this as maybe we should start featuring Dowdle more. I know they're kind of back against the wall with Andy Dalton. You kind of only can do what you can do, right. But at least help yourself out a little bit.
Yeah, maybe they will next season. I don't know. This Carolina team's bad, and it tells me a lot about their front office that they're still like clinging to Bryce Young and haven't done anything differently, because obviously he's not the answer. But you know what? We're going to move on from this one, and we're going to move over to another kind of shocking result here. The Houston Texans beat the San Francisco 49ers 26-15 today. I was pretty surprised by this outcome. It's starting to look like Mac Jones has outlived his usefulness in San Francisco. We'll start on that side of it here. Mac Jones goes 19-32 for 193 yards, throws 2 touchdowns, but has the 1 interception. Christian McCaffrey couldn't get it going today. Kevin, 8 carries for 25 yards. He does not score a rushing touchdown, nor does he score a receiving touchdown. 3 catches for 43 yards on 6 targets. Juwan Jennings leads the team here with 7 targets, 4 catches for 45 yards. The San Francisco offense looks disjointed. I think they need Brock Purdy back, man.
I really don't know if even Brock Purdy can kind of manage this. The 49ers obviously banged up with their wide receivers. They got George Kittle back. I think we're starting to really see, outside of like the receiving stuff, that Christian McCaffrey looks a step slower. And like, that's fine, because what he's doing and how he's deployed typically is fine. But Houston Texans, their defense is awesome. So it's not a shock to me that a team that's banged up like the 49ers are on. Still, I know it's Mac Jones and he's been better than a typical backup quarterback, but he's still a backup quarterback. So I'm not surprised that Houston was able to kind of dominate this game, honestly. I mean, I know it's an 11-point game, but still, looking at Juwan Jennings, 119 air yards. Him and Kendrick Bourne were both over 80% routes. George Kittle came back 4 for 43 and a touchdown. He had two targets and a goose egg last week, so it's good to see him. Many are saying it's actually a National Tight End Day.
I've heard this rumor.
Have you heard this? Have you seen this?
It didn't seem like National Tight End Day.
Yeah, nobody mentioned it at all.
No, definitely not Cooter Doodle in some sort of weird fashion.
Or Scott Hansen like 37 times.
No, he definitely did not say it on Red Zone today. I did not hear it once.
No, he was definitely not in the double digits on that. Not that I counted. Anyway, but yeah, so like the Niners are just, banged up. You could still kind of toss out Juwan Jennings as like a low end flex. You could start Kittle's fine as a start, as a tight end one. Other than that, and CMC, I mean, goes without saying. Other than that, like you're hoping maybe you get some pieces back. Obviously, Ricky Pearsall would be nice to get back in the lineup. Who knows about Brandon Ayuk at this point? But
he's not coming back this year, man. He's not playing this year. Forget about it. Forget about Brandon Ayuk. It's not happening.
I don't know. What teams have done stupider things.
That's true.
Can we get a proof of life on Ricky Pearsall?
Right, welfare check. And I think this is something that was interesting too. In the first half of that Houston-San Francisco game, Houston just had the ball for most of it. Like, what was San Francisco supposed to do? They didn't get a first down.
I think that was the most time of possession by a team in the first half since like 2009.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. Look, if you can because we'll talk about Houston here. Houston dunked their way into this game, to win this game. That's how you run the ball enough, you dink and dunk. That's how you're taking all the time off the clock.
Yeah. Let's move on to the Houston side, actually, because CJ Stroud, it was like the CJ Stroud of 3 years ago, graced us with his presence. He teleported to 2025, goes 30-39 for 318 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Doesn't take a sack today against the San Francisco defense. Rushes 7 times for 30 yards as well. Woody Marks, leading rusher, 11 carries for 62 yards, Kevin. Then Xavier Hutchinson tied with Jalen Knoll for the lead in team targets. Well, and Jaden Higgins, had 8 here. But Knoll and Hutchinson, 69 and 63 yards receiving. Hutchinson gets the touchdown. Higgins gets the team lead in targets, though, with 8, which I saw that part coming here. Did not think Xavier Hutchinson was going to take over the volume as much as he did today.
Well, that's been the story of the entire year. Xavier Hutchinson he is like, I want to say he's AFC Parker Washington, but he's also in the AFC. So he can be, him and Parker Washington can be like compadres. Like we can all just take them, put them in a capsule and shoot them into space. Because Xavier Hutchinson is the roadblock. Like when Nico Collins is healthy, Hutchinson is the roadblock to Jaden Higgins getting more work. And because Nico Collins, Higgins saw 81% of the routes today. So that was good. It was good to see him on the field. It's good to see him get those targets. I just don't know how long-term this is going to be with Nico Collins. I want to see this kind of disparity because I feel like it's just going to be the same thing because, when Nico Collins comes back, as it has been with Higgins running like 40 to 50% of the route, same with Knoll. And then obviously Braxton Berrios in the slot was just killer for a guy like Jalen Noel. Jalen Noel was still like perfectly fine in terms of earning 6 targets, 5 for 63. He was like the DFS punt play of the week between him and Kabir DK. But so I mean, in terms of this offense, like it's still kind of gross and everything was pretty much dink and dunk. Dalton Schultz ended up getting hurt later on in the game. But in the running game, Nick Chubb feels very Jordan Howard-ish in terms of when he's on the field, you know what he's doing. You know he's there to basically just to run the ball. Like it's a huge tell for a defense when Nick Chubb is on the field. But Woody Marks is the guy that can kind of keep defenses on their toes with. He's very Rashad. I've been calling him AFC Rashad White for the last few weeks now.
That's pretty much what fair.
Yep. Yeah, because he's a much better receiving back than he is a rusher, and he's okay at running the ball, in terms of efficiency. 11 for 62 today, well over 5 yards per carry, perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't expect that every week. And he's fine to start as a flex, especially when we've got bye weeks now. But I'm not expecting him to be a league-winning type running back by any means. I don't think he's going to be a guy that consolidates work in this offense where, we're obviously, we'll talk about New England, but we expect TreVeyon Henderson to that was the whole prevailing thing. We want TreVeyon Henderson to get all the work. Yeah, but Ramondre Stevenson, even if Henderson does, Ramondre's not going away. Same kind of thing here with Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's not going away unless he gets hurt. So I think Woody Marks is a totally cromulent flex play, but expecting more out of that. Unless Nick Chubb gets hurt. Even if Nick Chubb gets hurt, they still got Daria Wale and Pearson, all these guys to kind of mix in still. So I don't like it from that aspect, but Marks is probably capped at 50 to 60% routes on a good week. He only had 41% this week, and that's still with 15 opportunities, 11 carries, 4 targets.
Yep. Woody Marks isn't a guy you're going to just get super excited about starting every week. Solid flex, and I love his name. Does that count for anything? Do we play any positive
two internet points for you?
All right, I'll take it. It's fine by me.
At the halfway point, why don't we take some questions?
Yeah, we've got a few in here. Let's throw out this first one. Do we have proof of life? No, not yet. Still,
that was on Pearsall. I don't believe so.
Yeah, I know. We still haven't received any emails from the organization, though we asked just not 5 minutes ago. We've got Alex Schuer on YouTube, Kevin. He just traded Nico Collins and Quinshon Judkins for Justin Jefferson. What are your thoughts on this trade? He's got Benson and Mario Hampton hurt right now.
Without knowing the rest of your roster, I don't mind that. I think it's a kind of a steep price to pay. I know, obviously, because Judkins is a Brown, he's still been solidly efficient most weeks. And Nico, you can bank him for usually 5 for 80 and a touchdown every other week. And I know Judkins got hurt today as well too. Yep. So I still think that's a little too much, but I still think you're getting the best player of the trade.
Yep. And as much as I worry about the quarterback situation in Minnesota, it's still Justin Jefferson. So I try not to worry as much as I could. Next one we've got here, Tyler Sperry. He's really wanting to know this from you, Kevin, because you are a resident Packers fan, of course. What happened with Josh Jacobs? Wilton almost had more carries. Is Josh Jacobs slowly being replaced, Kevin?
No, don't. There's no need for that. Josh Jacobs is hurt right now. He's been banged up for the past few weeks. So it makes sense that Green Bay, a running team, will be managing a guy like that with Emmanuel Wilson. So am I worried about Josh Jacobs? Not really. But, in terms of game to game stuff, when Green Bay was, kind of carving, Jordan Love was carving up the Steelers tonight. And they didn't run as much as they typically do. So when they did, Josh Jacobs got most of the market share there. He ended up with a touchdown, still with a few catches. I know Wilson had his ceiling game, but I'm not worried about Jacobs. I think that's a bit, jumping the gun.
Oh, I'm not even remotely worried about Josh Jacobs. Emmanuel Wilson's fine. Great change of pace guy. That's what he is, and that's all he is. I want to throw this one out here from Joe Hammy, Kevin. Sat Waddle for Diggs and Wandale because Tua was too short. Whoops. Who knew?
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. Mythcarian wants us to know what he learned from the Falcons today is that Kirk Cousins is real bad. Yeah.
Yeah, Kirk, if you got some time on the YouTube after this, go search Kirk Cousins Pizza Ranch. You'll thank me later. That's what he should be doing.
All right, I'll look that up. Why do the Steelers make Herms so sad, Kevin?
I I don't know. I mean, look, Aaron Rodgers was like totally fine. The run game was like okay, but it's the uniforms, man. Bad uniform vibes didn't help anything. You're muted, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Shout out to my boy Tip Major over on Twitter. Kraft mac and cheese is delicious. It's true. You eat a lot of it when you have an 8-year-old. It's delightful, and I love it. It's all I have time for half the time. Titan Style over on YouTube has got this question for us. Kevin, would you trade away Lad McConkey and Ramondre Stevenson for George Pickens and DeAndre Swift? Their other wide receivers are Jamar Chase, Travis Hunter, Jameson Williams, Ted Johnson, Calvin Ridley. Running backs are Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, Woody Marks, Kamani Vidal, and Travis Etienne.
Titan Style, I'm going to tell you this, as serious as I can be. Please run to the podium to make that trade.
Yeah, Fantasy Calculator says they're winning it by 2,200 value points.
Do it, go do it right now. Yeah.
Yep. And I also want to say thank you for giving me an opportunity real quick. Just plug our tools real quick. Check it out. We've got a dope trade analyzer that is going to be housing some incredible projections, rest of season, dynasty, and weekly as well. They're going to help you make great trades in your leagues. Head on over and sync those leagues. ESPN, MFL, and Sleeper. We're going to have Yahoo, CBS, and NFL coming very soon. 25% off your first 4 months with promo code Optimus.
Boom.
I can't help myself, Kevin. I'm sorry. I'm just so excited about them. They're so awesome. But you know what else is awesome? Well, okay, maybe it wasn't, I guess, that.
Depending on who you ask.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a fan of Cam Skattebo, this game was no bueno for you. If you're a fan of the New York Giants, it was no bueno for you. Philadelphia Eagles beating up on their division rival 38-20 this week, Kevin. One of the bigger stories here is the injury to Cam Skattebo. It was ugly. It's an ankle dislocation. We know that now. It's going to require surgery. In all likelihood, we have seen the last of Cam Skattebo this season. If you're someone who's heavily invested in Skattebo, are you going after Tyrone Tracy? I mean, he had 10 carries for 39 yards today. It was nothing super exciting. I saw 3 targets in the passing game. Is he going to be an adequate replacement?
I mean, it's hard to replace like a guy that had a pretty big market share that obviously the Giants wanted to build the plane out of Cam Skattebo with Malik Neighbors hurt. Now you lost more like for all intents and purposes, you lost Cam Skattebo from that team as well. Tyrone Tracy is going to have to pick up most of that slack. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up making that a split with him and Devin Singletary. So I don't think we should be getting like Devin Singletary is like a totally fine back. Like I think if you don't get Tracy, I think Singletary is worth an ad because of some of the ambiguity and seeing how that backfield shakes up. Ultimately, it's the New York Giants without Malik Neighbors, without Cam Skattebo. So you kind of have to take that into account too. It's going to have to be Tracy. Tracy obviously is a former wide receiver, now a running back, so the receiving skills are still there. He's like a little below average in terms of efficiency. Devin Singletary has like made a career out of being one of the best pass protection running backs in the league, but has been like really, really good on a lot of PFF's evasion stuff in terms of like that and some efficiency. So I think Singletary could be like a sneaky ad on waivers if you don't get Tracy. I'd be putting in, if I had Skattebo and, obviously you lose a starting running back and you get a chance to start possibly get another one. If Tracy is out there, obviously you got to go put some fab in, probably a good 20-25% if you're able to, but I would also put a few bucks on Singletary as well.
Yeah, I don't think Singletary is going to get any sort of like lion's share of the volume here in the backfield.
No, but he could put it. He could make enough of a dent to be like a better Samaj P. Ryan in terms of like efficiency.
Yeah,
because I don't think Singletary is like as good of a pass catcher, but I think he's efficient enough where he could make that work. And I don't think that they're wanting to give Tyrone Tracy anywhere close to what Cam Skattebo that workload was.
Well, and Devin Singletary is really good in pass pro. With a rookie quarterback that's going to keep you on the field a little bit more, especially with Skattebo down. As for the rest of this Giants team, Kevin, let's get to that here. 14-24 for 193 yards and a touchdown for the rookie quarterback Jackson Dart. Nothing really exciting on the receiving side of it here. Slayton leads the team in targets. He gets 5, goes 2 for 26. Wan'Dale Robinson, 3 catches for 48 yards. Outside of that, it was a mixture of guys like Bo Collins, Daniel Bellinger, Theo Johnson. Darius Slayton had 2 targets for 26 yards. Is there anything to glean from this, from the New York side of this, other than they're pretty screwed without Skattebo?
No, Daniel Bellinger also left with an injury as well, so that could consolidate. So, I mean, Theo Johnson was already running 97% of routes anyway. But nobody else had, more than 5 targets on this team. Nobody else had more than 3 catches on this team. Look, it was an Eagles team that was embarrassed to lose 34-17 on the road against the Giants, and they let the Giants know about it. Unfortunately, what did it cost? It cost Cam Skattebo. This like passing game outside of Wan'Dale, because I don't think Theo Johnson's like any good. We talked about that, but
we did.
I just don't like he's like a lesser Kate Otten. He's a routes based play, but that's like your real upside. Because what is the upside of this Giants offense? Like it's right now, it was one thing when you had Cam Skattebo that could kind of keep defenses honest. Now you don't have that, so you're really only starting Wan'Dale like in any sort of like meaningful capacity right now.
And even he's hard to want to start because once you remove Skattebo, all of a sudden teams know what you're going to do. I mean, you're going to throw it more. Dart's rushing upside was exciting, but it seems like that's even gone away. 6 carries for 17 yards today.
It's just a bad matchup. He's still got a touchdown, but it's a bad matchup. The Eagles, on the road. Like, there's not a lot of teams that, the Giants are a 2-6 team. Like, that team is not going to survive a game like that.
I want to pop this up to transition us to the other side of this game, Kevin. Is Saquon Barkley something to worry about now?
Worry about how? Because, like, I was worried about Barkley in terms of, like, at a macro level with, like, yards per carry stuff and efficiency, hammy injury. Yeah, it is what it is, and that's going to be something we'll talk about, certainly this week as well. But in terms of, like, it was great to see him get that 65-yard rush to start the game. Like, that was 2024 Saquon Barkley, like, was back. But, in terms of, like, he'll probably be managed this week. We'll see what happens with that. But, so in terms of, like, the passing game stuff is all condensed. Only 5 guys caught a pass today. That's typical Eagles, especially when they had AJ Brown out. Devonta Smith, 6 for 84, 100% of the routes. Jahan Dotson had a touchdown, but you're never starting him, even though he runs a ton of routes. Everything shifts down to like 2 guys when one of them is out. Whether it's obviously Brown was out, so that shifts down to Smith and Goddard. Goddard had 2 touchdowns, great. Barkley had a receiving touchdown as well. So the Eagles are very easy in terms of how condensed they are.
Yep. This question here, if Barkley's out, who gets the Eagles share? I think they made that clear today. It's going to be Tank Bigsby, 9 carries for 104.
Yeah, that's probably him and Shipley mixing in, but it's probably it's not going to be Bigsby going like, Barkley's full workload. It's probably going to be a lot more managed than that. Like, you can't. I know running back is typically when one guy is hurt, you're hoping for like a 1-to-1 workload share of like what the starter had. That's typically not the case. Very rarely is it ever the case. Like, you can point to like a couple, like, remember the Chiefs teams from way back in the day, like probably 8-9 years ago, when you had the Charkandrick West and like guys like that, Nile Davis. But those guys, and even like Kareem Hunt when he was a rookie, when Spencer Ware went down, like those guys were like a 1-for-1 guy. Darrell Henderson, like the Rams guys were like 1-for-1. Those are like 2 anomalies on that kind of spectrum, where if Saquon Barkley's out and you're looking for a running back, it's probably Bigsby, but be very wary of the fact that Bigsby is not a receiving back. That work's going to go to Will Shipley, and then Will Shipley's probably going to take more off the top of Bigsby than you want. So that's where I have some concern about expecting Bigsby to be like new Saquon Barkley. That's very like, looking at the box score and just kind of assuming. And that can't be the case.
Well, we try not to assume anything. You know what they say about that, Kevin? Makes an ass out of you and me.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, we're going to move on to the next matchup. This game just felt like asses all around. The Patriots beat up on the Cleveland Browns 32-13 today. Drake Maye will start on the New England side. Looked very good again. 18-24 for 282 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, Kevin. And then Trevion Henderson got 10 carries. Hey, Trevion Henderson day. 10 for 75. Does not score a touchdown. Does not see a target in the passing game either, Kevin.
Yeah, Trevion Henderson was very, very managed. He only ran routes on 9% of dropbacks for Drake Maye. Ramondre Stevenson still had like the massive workload, 74% snaps, 71% routes. It's still his backfield. It was just a very, very managed by the Patriots in terms of like getting Trevion Henderson rushes like outside of like the Stevenson stuff. And Stevenson wasn't very good at all. And then they still found work for Terrell Jennings as well. So like in the run game, it's still really gross. And I'm not taking too much from the Trevion Henderson stuff. Although I think that 10 for 75 today was probably a good thing for Henderson himself in terms of like building confidence, because he hasn't been a guy that's run with a lot of confidence. And I think that's what they're looking for, to kind of take a real world aspect into that. Like, I know we want Trevion Henderson to be like the Jahmyr Gibbs to where Stevenson is Montgomery. I don't think that's realistic, but I do think that like for a rookie running back to be able to string carries together and not look over your shoulder, I think that's very good for a guy like that to get 7.5 yards per carry and then kind of build game by game on that. So I don't think Henderson's like dead at any point, but I think like you can take something from this in terms of we're hoping that this is going to be a game to game thing. And if they're going to be doing this and working him in a bit more sparingly outside of Ramondre stuff, I think that's good to get him ramped up a little more so you can take more higher leverage stuff. Like, I think that'll be good for Henderson. In terms of like the passing game, though, Stephon Diggs has been managed a lot more in the last few weeks after he had like those couple games where he had like 10, 11 targets and was running 87, 88% of routes. Definitely more managed now, kind of falling a little bit more in line with the Matt Collins and Kayshon Boutte. Kayshon Boutte looks like the wide receiver 1 right now, in terms of being the X receiver and then getting all those routes and then finally producing. Like, remember, he was a top recruit at LSU, one of the top wide receivers in his draft class, never really, took advantage of that in college. Was a lower end draft pick and now had to kind of build himself back up. He's looked really good, where I started him in a guillotine because Drake London was out and felt really good doing that. But Mac Hollins 7 for 89, not putting too much stock in that. That's an anomaly, a blip on the radar. Diggs ended up getting in the end zone, just 65% of routes, 3 for 14. I think better days are ahead for him in terms of being able to capitalize on, like, if he's going to run those routes, he better be like targeted a lot, kind of like how DeAndre Hopkins was with the Chiefs last year, where he wasn't running a lot of routes, but when he was on the field, he was getting targeted. That's what you kind of want right now from Diggs. And it's a good offense, obviously, with MVP Drake Maye, or at least should be in the conversation for MVP Drake Maye, which you got to assume now probably leaps over Baker Mayfield. I think you still got Patrick Mahomes to contend with. He might have Jonathan Taylor to contend with, but we love what we see from this Patriots offense in terms of just being so efficient with this group of pass catchers.
I was higher on Kayshon Boutte than consensus this week by 9 spots. I feel like that was warranted, and I think it will continue to be warranted. He feels like the wide receiver 1 in this offense.
Yeah.
I love Stephon Diggs, but you can tell he's almost on some sort of pitch count. Like they'll have these weeks where they just let him go, but it's not going to be every week. And this wasn't a week where they needed to. I think they knew that. Not a whole lot else to really glean from the New England side of it, Kevin. Let's move over to the Cleveland side here. We had Dylan Gabriel go 21 to 35 for 156. He throws 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. The more concerning thing here is on the rushing side. Quinshon Judkins goes 9 carries for 19 yards before he goes down with an injury. He also had 3 catches for -2 yards. I'm definitely a little bit worried about Quinshon Judkins being hurt in this offense. There isn't much else you want to talk about. Harold Fannin, though, we will bring that up. 6 catches for 62 and a touchdown.
Will we? By the way, the little Twitch rate in there. Appreciate y'all hopping in here. But
let's go.
This was the first week that Harold Fannin ended up running more routes and more snaps with David Njoku healthy. So it looks like Harold Fannin is going to be getting the more of the market share in this offense than Njoku. Whether it's going to lead to an Njoku trade, we'll see. But at least this kind of hurdle has been leapt over by Fannin. So if you had some reservations about Harold Fannin for whatever reason, you can leave those at the door because Harold Fannin is a must-start tight end going forward. One of the best target-earning tight ends that you will find in fantasy football. 6 for 62 and a touchdown, team leading 9 targets, 72% of the routes. You'll love to see it. Even joke, look, it was National Tight End Day. I don't know if you guys heard. 4 for 37 and a touchdown for the Chief, David Njoku. Jerry Jeudy, it's time to put that. It's time to send Jerry Jeudy out to a nice farm family upstate. 2 targets, nothing on 85% of the routes. You can leave him on the side of the road. But with Judkins, in terms of obviously he left with a shoulder injury, was ruled out in the 4th quarter. We saw Dylan Sampson get on the field a little bit more. You could probably expect how it was in the very beginning of the season before Judkins came back, where you're going to have Dylan Sampson very, not very efficient, but can kind of make up for some of that in the passing game. We saw 5 catches for 29 yards out of Sampson today, 3 carries for 0 yards. I mean, if that's not a Dylan Sampson line, I don't know what is. But Jerome Ford will be involved still. Not a fantasy relevant role, but I'd be looking to pick up Sampson just to kind of cover your bases because, shoulder injuries are tough, especially for a running back. So I would be very, I'd be looking at the news and seeing, check out the Optimus news channel, news account on Blue Sky. And check out on Optimus. We have the little scroller on top too with all the latest news as well. So check that out for all. Carly is awesome with that and keeping everybody informed on what's going on in terms of fantasy and all the latest news. Definitely check that out. But look for Quinshon Judkins on there.
Yeah, and it could be as simple as we're not sending him back into this blowout to make it worse. It could be a nothing. And with the bye week coming up, I'm not super worried about Quinshon Judkins.
I'm not either, but these accumulation of injuries and then they've got other backs too. It's at least obviously it's something to monitor. Obviously practice is going to go a long way to figuring out where we're at. And obviously we're going to get more news tomorrow in terms of that. But I would also keep one kind of ear to the ground and be forthright in maybe adding Dylan Sampson, for a few bucks.
Yep, it's worth it. And if you don't, and if he's still available in your league, go get Harold Fannin, guys. We've been saying
he shouldn't be, but if he's out there for whatever reason, he is a league-winning tight end.
Yeah, Fannin's gonna Fannin. Speaking of league-winning tight ends, I want to move over to this Buccaneers Saints game. Kevin, my league-winning tight end is Cade Otton. I love the man. Is he really league-winning? Probably not. But
not in any leagues this year.
No, not in any leagues this year. But he's awesome. I mean, you never know. And we're going to start with the Tampa Bay side of this. The Buccaneers moved to 6-2. They win 23-3 over the lowly New Orleans Saints. We'll get to just how lowly they are in a minute. But first, we're going to start with Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker goes 15-24 for 152 yards, doesn't throw a touchdown, but they obviously did not need it in this one. The lone rushing touchdown goes to Sean Tucker, 12 carries for 42 yards to Rachaad White's 13 for 35. And then we get Tez Johnson leading the team in receptions. He gets 5 catches for 43. Emeka Egbuka leads the team in targets, 9, 3 catches for 35 yards. I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about here. This is a game that you expected Tampa Bay to win. Maybe they didn't really need to turn the Jets on today because it was the Saints.
I mean, this was an all hands on deck game. Nobody really stood out. Obviously, Tampa's so banged up with their receivers to where Emeka Egbuka 3 for 35. Some of the efficiency wasn't there. Obviously, he hurt people today, like our friend Joe Hammy here. But 8 targets. Obviously, he's not going anywhere. Runs a ton of routes. Tez Johnson. I was very surprised to see that it was very much less rotational for the Buccaneers, because in the past few weeks it has been a rotation of the Sterling Shepard, Ryan Miller, Cameron Johnson, and Tez Johnson. We saw Tez Johnson run 96% of routes today. And I don't know if you guys really know how big he is. He is not. That dude is 150 pounds if he's lucky.
Yeah.
So you have to be 5 for 43. He's been efficient, in his small sample. So I think that continues a little bit. Obviously, they had their bye week, so that's going to affect things there, certainly. But in terms of the run game, we could get Bucky Irving back once the Bucs bye ends. So that might be a thing where they want to manage Rachaad White. They did that with Sean Tucker today, because Sean Tucker ended up with 12 carries, 42 yards, and touchdown. Rachaad White was a little more managed. Rachaad White hasn't been super efficient. Has just scored a lot of touchdowns. So it was good to get Sean Tucker in there for some efficiency. I mean, he wasn't super efficient either, but he's been better than what Rachaad White has been. So, and then they got Josh Williams involved too for 4 carries. So we'll see how they come out after the bye. Hopefully a little more healthy. We'll see if that's going to be a Bucky Irving thing where he is back and the running back room operates kind of status quo, with Bucky Irving getting most of the work and then Rachaad White filling in the gaps and Sean Tucker's riding some pine or playing special teams, whatever your proclivity may be. We do not have White on our team for efficiency. No, he is purely our compiling king that has the 3rd highest yards per route run of any player in the last 15 years in college. You know who the other 2 are, by the way?
I don't, actually.
Christian McCaffrey, Kenyon Drake.
Kenyon Drake. He comes up in all of these weird college efficiency trivia things.
Yeah, that's your top 3. That's your top 3 yards per route run in the last 15 years in college.
Future Miami Dolphins Ring of Fame running back Kenyon Drake, folks.
He ain't getting in the Ring of Fame.
No, it was a joke.
Well, so is he.
I mean, maybe he will. He might be one of their most famous running backs. Name a running back other than Larry Zonka from the Dolphins past that's not Sammy Smith. You can't say Sammy Smith because we're basically
Ricky
the same
Williams, age. Ronnie Brown, brother. Late stage Jamal Charles, brother.
No, he did go to Miami after he was in Denver. That's right.
Yeah, it was his last
useless
stop.
Bears. He was in Denver. Yeah. Speaking of useless, let's talk about the Saints real quick, because that's basically what this offense is. We had 2 quarterbacks today. Spencer Rattler starts the game.
Always a good sign.
Yeah, right. 15 to 21 for 136. He throws a pick. Then they bring in the veteran quarterback, Tyler Shuck. He has served 8 years of college football duty before coming to the NFL. As a favor to all of us, of course. His mustache thing is elite, if nothing else, because his play wasn't really. He goes 17 to 30 for 128 yards, throws another interception. The volume in this game was very clear. It went through 3 people. Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, both with 12 targets. Juwan Johnson with 8. That's where the volume went. We had Alvin Kamara, 6 carries for 21 yards. His long was 5. He had 2 targets in the passing game, 2 catches for 24 yards for Kamara today.
Saints running back room is absolutely useless. That includes you, Alvin Kamara. I wouldn't even be opposed to dropping him, though I know people have the name value of the stick, the brand, the sticker. Alvin Kamara has been a great fantasy running back for however long. look, in this offense with, Kellen Moore de-emphasizing his role in the receiving game, I think it's time to kind of cut bait. If you don't have other options to pick up, that's one thing to like keep him on there. But like Kamara starting, like, and even if he goes somewhere else, like holding Kamara in case he gets traded to the Chiefs, like what? I don't know what he's going to do because they have a guy that can do that and then some in Brashard Smith. So I don't know what he would provide to a team at this point besides being like what Austin Eckler has been, but worse, like with the Commanders.
Much worse.
Yeah.
Much worse.
I mean, we're talking about a guy that's what, 30? Is he 30 or 31? I mean, not that it really matters.
30. I'm looking it up, Kevin.
We're talking about a
30.
Right. And he's not, and Lou said it, he's not interested in being traded anyway. So look, this is a run out the clock situation, to quote the great Stanley Hudson from The Office. So I just don't think that Alvin Kamara is even worth a roster spot in fantasy anymore.
No, he's not.
62 dropbacks, by the way, for the combination of the veteran Tyler Shuck, Justin Herbert's backup at Oregon 7 years ago, and Spencer Rattler. 12 targets each for Olave and Rashid Shaheed. 8 for 63 for Olave, 131 air yards, ton of routes. Shaheed was excellent as well. Juwan Johnson, like the role is perfectly fine. 74% of routes, 5 for 53 at 8 targets. Like that's totally fine. It's just when he has 62 dropbacks and a lot of pass attempts, you're really hoping for like more production on that, especially in like a spot from a softer defense.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, but like everything is pretty much centered around these three guys in the passing game. So I'm not willing to ding Juwan Johnson, especially at a kind of thin tight end position for a lot of that. So,
yeah. I do want to throw this one out here. My opponent picked up Rattler to cover the bye. Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. I want nothing to do with this Saints team. It's bad. And with that, we're going to move on to the second
to the best team in the NFL.
No, the Indianapolis Colts, man, 38-14 over the Tennessee Titans. Daniel Jones and this team was so good that Riley Leonard got in to throw 2 incompletions at the end of this game, Kevin. We'll start on the Indianapolis side of this here. Daniel Jones goes 21-29 for 272 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was indeed dropping dimes today. Jonathan Taylor, 12 carries for 153 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he adds one in the air, 2 catches for 21 yards. Michael Pittman, Kevin, goes off, 9 targets, turns that into 8 catches for 95 yards and an acrobatic as hell touchdown. This Indy team is clicking on all cylinders. I didn't see this coming. I don't think any of us saw this coming, but wow, this team is just electric.
This team's a juggernaut, man. Like, this is the fourth game in 6 games that he's had 3 or more touchdowns total. Like Jonathan Taylor is, he is 20 for 24 Saquon Barkley. I keep repeating myself over and over again. I think at this point, look, you just got to call it for what it is. He's going to end up crushing leagues, and if you don't have him, good luck. Michael Pittman, 8 for 95 with a touchdown. Tyler Warner was fine, 4 for 53, runs a ton of routes. Alec Pierce, 2 for 69, if you're into that, I guess. I actually liked him this week against Tennessee. And not a super great run out there. Josh Downs ended up getting the end zone as well. And then there's not really much else because this offense is efficiency in the passing game and Jonathan Taylor. When you have those two in an awesome offensive line, you're going to win a lot of games. You're going to be literally the best offense in the last almost 20 years since the 07 Patriots and the Peyton Manning Broncos.
And this is a Daniel Jones-led offense, folks. Just let that sink in. I love this one here from Myth Carrion on Twitch. Indy is the definition of complementary football. Their offensive line is good, so their running back is awesome, so their passing game works better. So their offense is unstoppable. So their defense is in better situations constantly. It's just awesome and frustrating if you're rooting against it. But this is what good teams do. This is exactly what this is a Super Bowl caliber team in Indy.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it.
Yeah. Everything runs through the Chiefs in the AFC, but I mean, the Colts are a wagon right now. Like, good luck stopping them. Like, obviously they had their one loss was, I believe, on the road to the Rams, and that's not an easy place. A full strength Rams team. But look, the Colts are going to run roughshod through the AFC South. I mean, they're probably going to end up clinching that division by what, week?
Have they not clinched it already?
Right. I mean, the Jaguars, if they fall off, they're going to clinch that division by like week 12. But yeah, this is definitely a wild time, certainly, for the Indianapolis football Colts. Ride the wave with Jonathan Taylor, our probably the biggest league winner in the end of the second round in fantasy football.
Just insane production from Taylor. Where we're not getting insane production, Kevin, is on the other side of this game. Cam Ward, the first overall pick, is looking more like a late 6th round pick that's not Tom Brady. 22 for 38 for 259 yards, throws a touchdown and an interception. His rushing acumen on full display today, 2 carries for 4 yards. Otherwise, Tyjae Spears leads the team in rushing with 59 yards on 9 carries. He gets a rushing touchdown. 8 targets, 7 catches for Chimere DK. He gets 93 yards. Okonkwo right behind him, 4 catches for 53. And then Ao Manor, 4 for 52. This offense is bad. No one's exciting in fantasy. You don't want to be starting them unless it's a bye week. Maybe Tony Pollard.
I don't know. I mean, I'm starting to warm up to Chimere DK a little bit. I won't lie.
I worry that it's too streaky, though. Talk me out of that.
He's produced, and now he's getting routes. Like, he's produced. He has been better than Iomanner for sure in terms of like earning targets on limited routes. Where Iomanner's been running all the routes for the last 4 or 5 weeks now. DK's kind of come up a little bit slower with Tyler Lockett asking for his release. That kind of gave DK the slot role. And granted, what is a slot role in Tennessee worth? Not super lot, but DK is super athletic. Like, they still have him on kick returns and I believe punt returns as well. And usually you put your most athletic player, either the most athletic player you have or the most sure-handed player that you have. So take that however you want to. But in terms of like, is there like a beacon of light in this team that obviously we know they're going to be down? There's going to be not a lot of efficiency. But the fact that, I mean, please miss me with Van Jefferson earning 8 targets in the year of our Lord 2025. But if Chimere DK can be like the lone beacon of light, and I'm not super worried about Calvin Ridley either. He's probably just going to end up taking wherever routes that Van Jefferson is currently running. So he'll be back to like where Mason Kinsey is running 10% of snaps, which that's where he should be in at this stage of his career. I mean, I just don't think Ridley's like even that good anymore. And this lack of efficiency won't help. I've talked so much about the Titans in the last like 2.5 minutes. So it feels really weird to actually talk about some hope with this team. But I do like Chimere DK. I like him over Ioman the rest of the season. I will say that in terms of like, but building up to like that, a guy that could be relevant, even more relevant later on in the season.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming, but we're here. I've added him in a couple of places the last couple of weeks, and I think it's going to pay off for me long term.
He's at least interesting. Like, there's not much that's interesting on this team, but he is.
So he's who I thought Xavier Restrepo was going to be in this offense, if we're being honest. This is what I thought the role that Restrepo would play. I thought he'd see this. Obviously, I think he's on their practice squad, so that's not going to happen. But his mom's real nice.
Well,
nice family.
The thing about DK is that he's getting a little bit barbelled, where he's getting the short area touches and a lot of managed stuff, and then he's getting the stuff deep too. So and I get it. What's that role on the Titans really worth? But at the very least, you want to have like some interesting profiles if you can fit them at the back of your bench, just in case, maybe Cam Ward finds something at the end of the season, or they let him throw 45, 50. That's what they were doing. That's what the Houston Texans were doing at the very beginning of the season in 2023 with CJ Stroud. And then look how that ended up turning out. Yeah, you give guys time with young players and young weapons, and they're going to build chemistry. I know it's Tennessee, but they're at the end of the day, it's one of the 32 professional football teams, and they're still like the best of the best college players. Like, that's why you talk about, Alabama could be the lowest team, the worst team in the NFL. No, they would. They lose 60-3. So, like, missed me with that, but I do think Tremere DK is very interesting in terms of a guy can stash and hope he can develop into a little more.
Well, here's the thing. Against a really good Indy team that is just shutting people down today, DK earned 8 targets. He turned that into 7 for 93. That's 16.3 PPR points. Those 16.3 PPR points, wide receiver 11 in PPR this week right now.
Yeah.
And the Monday game.
Right. And this team, what the low end range of outcomes is. So this team just absolutely gets shut down and you don't get anything from anybody. Like, that's totally plausible. That's going to happen in most weeks. But, with some of the negative game script stuff, you can find stuff like this where defenses are softer, where maybe they're not going to be as defenses aren't going to be as reliant on to stop a guy like DK from getting into the end zone or whatever the case may be. So, just all those factors included.
Nope. All right, Kevin, we're going to move on to the last matchup of the day that we're going to talk about. My Denver Broncos spank the Dallas Cowboys 44-24 today. It was a thing of beauty, and we're going to start on the Dallas side of it so we can finish up with my Broncos and just round out my Sunday in a beautiful way. Dak Prescott goes 19-31 for 188 yards, throws 2 interceptions today before Joe Milton comes in and throws the lone touchdown pass for the Dallas Cowboys. He goes 3 for 4 for 58 yards. Javonte Williams' revenge game, not quite a revenge game. 13 carries for 41 yards. Dak Prescott's second leading rusher, 6 for 31. We have George Pickens ends up leading the team in receiving yards, 7 for 78 on 9 targets. CeeDee Lamb, of course, leads the team in targets. He gets 10, 7 catches for 74. The receiving touchdown is, of course, Jalen Tolbert, because why not?
Yeah, this team got shut down in terms of, like, it was really funny watching this game and having Jim Nantz and Tony Romo being surprised that Pat Surtain was on George Pickens. Because, CeeDee Lamb obviously is not your X receiver. He plays the Z. He's going to be in the slot. He's going to be in 11 personnel, and he's going to be off the line, and Pickens is going to be on the line. That's Surtain is going to follow him, and they're going to try to get Lamb into more advantageous spots. So that was kind of something that stuck out to me. But look, Lamb and Pickens, 19 targets combined. We're talking 57% of the targets for this team. 7 for 74 for Lamb, 7 for 78 for Pickens. Jake Ferguson got shut out. Only 1 target, no catches for fantasies. Tight end 1 right now. Blanked completely by the Broncos. So not great there. And then Javonte Williams made his fantasy day in the end zone. 2 touchdowns, 41 yards, 1 catch for 8 yards, and that's whatever. Not much to take. Going on the road to Denver is not exactly a picnic. Dak Prescott had his worst game of the season as well, so that certainly didn't help things there. But even in a game like that, Lamb and Pickens still got there. I know, obviously, this felt like more like the Eagles, because in most games, especially when the Cowboys have to pass and they're just peppering those wide receivers, like, you see Goddard left out of a lot of the target stuff pretty frequently. And that's kind of what happened here with Jake Ferguson, just the lone target.
I thought Ferguson was going to see more work against this Denver defense, but they were fantastic today. Javonte Williams is going to be fine. like you said, traveling to Denver's not fun. The weather was decent here today, but you're still at a mile high, and the air's thinner, and it's harder to catch your breath. I can attest to that. I'm about 1,000 feet higher than they are there, so it doesn't make for fun. That's why teams train here. Now to the other side of this one, the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix looks like a full-grown man today. 19 of 29 for 247 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. J.K. Dobbins goes over 100 yards again, 15 carries for 111. He does not get in the end zone. But R.J. Harvey, my friend, R.J. Harvey, 7 for 46 and 2 touchdowns on the ground. He adds another one catch for 5 yards. He scores on a passing play as well. 3 touchdowns for the rookie. Is this a sign of things to come in this Denver offense? Kevin, are we about to see an RJ Harvey breakout?
I mean, I think this was honestly a matter of circumstance for RJ Harvey more than like something that we can. I mean, trust me, it stinks, but
you're right. You're right.
I mean, J.K. Dobbins isn't going to be giving that up, that roll up. 111 yards on 15 rushes, like totally fine. RJ Harvey ended up getting one of those like wildcat sneaks and then 2 other touchdowns. Like I think that was a lot of that was very circumstantial. Good, definitely good for like best ball if you have him, but like you likely weren't starting him in a lot of managed leagues. Cortland Sutton should have had a touchdown as well. A ball that literally bounced off his chest. And then, not great there. Pat Bryant had another touchdown. Troy Franklin, paced the team in terms of a lot of the production. Like the Broncos went out after that Bryant touchdown. I think they scored on 4 of their next 5 possessions. Like they just put it on the Cowboys and extended that lead out. 6 for 89 and 2 touchdowns for Franklin. Like you're probably starting Franklin as like a low end flex anyway. This probably cements that, but buyer beware a little bit because I don't think this is usually a game you get out of Sutton, not as much Franklin. That doesn't mean that Franklin's not going to be involved, but this is your ceiling outcome for a guy like Troy Franklin, who is the second highest route runner on the team behind Sutton, but just temper your expectations a little bit. Like there's going to be these blow up games. It's just going to be very hard to start and manage unless you're just starting him as your flex. But other than that, Evan Engram doesn't run enough routes to really matter. 4 for 36 on 57% of routes. Marvin Mims was a complete non-factor here. Had a few rushing attempts, 3 for 18, but just 1 target, no catches there. And that target was a short, 5.8 target. So, I mean, you're starting Sutton, obviously. Franklin is a little bit of a low end flex play, probably solidified that, especially with bye weeks here. But other than that, the deal about the Broncos. They're so uncondensed that anybody can really have a big week. You're just centered around Sutton and Franklin.
Yeah. Just to throw this out there, Troy Franklin right now is the wide receiver 1 in PPR. That's how big his week was here with the 2 touchdowns and the catches and such. So I want to be excited about Troy Franklin, and again, I'll roll him out as a flex play. This is not necessarily a guarantee of things in the future for him. Cortland Sutton, this normally would be a Cortland Sutton stat line. I like seeing Pat Bryant get involved in the offense. I thought that was a good move forward for this team. I never really thought we were going to see a lot of him this season. This is Sean Payton. It's a rookie wide receiver. We know his plan is probably to roll him out a little heavier next year, which is similar to what they did with Troy Franklin last year. So not a whole lot of surprises here other than I thought the Cowboys were going to score more points on this Denver defense, and especially with Surtain being down for about half the game. You would have thought they would have done a little bit more. But that's also a testament to this Denver secondary. PJ Locke and Riley Moss, they're very good cornerbacks as well. So
when Moss isn't getting DPI penalties, he's pretty good.
Okay. I'm sorry. That was not past that. There was that. That wasn't passing.
Did I hit a nerve a little bit?
You did. It just wasn't PI, man. Like the pick play on Troutman, I had my doubts at first, but then you watch the replay on it. It was clear. He did the whole covering up thing.
Well, he wasn't like looking like he was running a route. He was there solely for the pick. Like they're going to call it every time.
Yeah. And the Cortland Sutton one where he was blocking, you didn't know they were going to throw it to him. You're going to get called on that every time. But
Pat Bryant, by the way, ran more routes than Marvin Mims today. Just a little wrinkle there.
Good. He should.
Mims ran 37% of routes, Pat Bryant up to 53.3%. So interesting to see that it could be more Marvin Mims as a, I mean, not that he's not a gadgety player right now, but like for anybody that was going into the season thinking Marvin Mims had a shot to like run actual real boy routes, not happening.
No, absolutely not. Nobody here thought it was going to happen. I mean, none of the sports media here was
people love
to
say people love to say things. Like sometimes people will just talk to talk. Trust me, I'm guilty of that as well. But you know, people will put out anything to get, you know, some clicks in it on Twitter machine or whatever their social media platform of choice. Especially on X, the Everything app, certainly. But yeah.
I want to shout out Alp. He did say this the other day. Start Franklin against the Cowboys, and you were not wrong.
Start me against the Cowboys defense.
Well,
probably would have got more targets than Marvin Mims.
Oh, that's actually probably not wrong. You might have. I don't know. If you kiss Sean Payton's ass enough, you can get anything you want. Speaking of getting anything you want, if you like winning, head over to tools.optimusfantasy.com. Use that promo code OptimusFall. Get 25% off your first 4 months. That code will expire this week. We'll be moving on to something different. Kev, wide receiver 1. We'll take it.
I mean,
I like it. I like you in the slot. Let's get some drag routes.
That's what she said.
Whoa, hey now.
Heyo. It's late. It's Optimus After Dark.
Yeah, apparently now. Well, folks, because it's late, we're going to get out of here, but I want to say thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. We're coming at you 6 times a week with waiver wire, DFS, and more. We got that skull there in the chat. Yeah, Dynasty Dave is dead. We love you, our Toronto friend. Go Blue Jays.
Yeah, go Jays.
I can't root for the Dodgers in good conscience. I can't do it. Yeah. Even though Dave Roberts is one of my heroes. You probably hate Dave Roberts, and I don't blame you.
I had no opinion.
Stole second and stole your ALCS championship in 2024, buddy. Game 4.
Care.
He got it. I do. I watch that 30 for 30 every season before baseball starts. All right, guys. But with that, we're going to get out of here. Please make sure you check out tools.optimusfantasy.com, optimusfantasy.com, and our Discord channel.
And check out clock management tomorrow, by the way. Tomorrow morning.
I was getting there. I promise.
I thought you were gonna knock us out.
No, well, yeah. I mean, after I do that, make sure you watch Kev tomorrow on clock management. He's going to roll through everything you need to know from this past week on a very deep level.
Tom's Draken's coming on tomorrow.
Woohoo! Oh, I love it. Yeah, Tom's great, man. We love our European friends. They're the best. Yep. So check out Kevin tomorrow on clock management. That will be at noon Eastern Standard Time right here on Optimus Fantasy. Head on over to our Discord channel. Join up. We are there 24/7 to answer your fantasy football questions. The link is in the show description, folks. For Kevin Tompkins, I am Nate Polvogt. Thank you so much for tuning into The Express. We'll see you next week.